no customer in the world buys product. They buy brands. We buy brands. We buy relationships.
Welcome back to the 5THWAVE podcast. I'm Jeffrey Young, Editor-in-Chief of coffee business magazine 5THWAVE. This week, we're bringing you a very special bonus episode with Isabela Raposeiras, former Brazilian barista champion and founder of the pioneering specialty coffee and coffee education business, Coffee Lab in São Paulo. In this fascinating conversation, Isabela shares her extraordinary journey, motivated by living through a family bankruptcy to owning one of the best coffee shops in the world. She also discussed the importance of loyal relationships with coffee producers and why learning to manage people has been one of the most challenging yet rewarding aspects of her career. Welcome, Isabela.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Excellent. Well, I wonder if you give us a bit of background on yourself and how you came to work in coffee.
My family went bankrupt. That's the beginning of the story.
That's a good start.
And it was in 2000. Actually, the bankruptcy was far before that. But it was 2000 when I really didn't want to drop out of college. And then I needed more money to go on paying for tuition because I'm a psychology major. And then a friend of mine asked me to help her on a project that involved coffee. And actually, I got to know the guys from Ipanema Coffees by then in this project. And then a few months after the project was ready and going, they invited me to work for them. And then that's how I began. That's how my coffee career began in Ipanema Coffees, which was a very good start. In 2000, and I was working for them, and then I got to know coffee. It was more of a managing job, but I like tasting things, and it's easy for me to taste things. And then I got really involved with coffee itself because it's so complex and interesting. Somebody convinced me to participate of the first Brazilian Barista Championship. I didn't want to, but then Alf Kramer he convinced me to join the competition, and then I did, and then I won, and my life changed. That was how it always started. It was 2000, and then 2002, there was this plot twist that actually led me to be in coffee until now. So it's been 22 years, yes.
And so you created what many people believe is one of the best coffee shops in the world. What if you tell us a little bit about Coffee Lab?
It was never meant to be a coffee shop. Actually, I still don't think it is a coffee shop. It's amazing. People say that this girl is really weird. She started because of bankruptcy, because of money, and then she never wanted to have a coffee shop, and now her coffee shop is one of the people's favorite. No, yeah, but that's maybe why. Maybe why, just because I didn't actually plan so much all that. I was so careful, and I'm really afraid of going bankrupt again. So I'm really careful with everything I do. And I really don't want to work with things that I don't feel comfortable with. And then Coffee Lab came. First it was the school, and then Coffee Lab is a school, actually. We're a school since, it's been 18 years that we officially opened as a school. And I love teaching. And I think for specialty coffee, which is such a brand new product in the world, it's so important to educate. And I like education, and it's in my blood. So opening school was a natural thing. And we teach over 2,000 students a year. It's a lot of people. And nowadays, it's been a while. We have a lot of students, and we teach roasting and baristas and home brewing and cupping and business managing related to coffee, which is one of our favorite subjects nowadays. And then I felt in 2003 I started studying roasting more deeply because I love roasting. This is my favorite subject in coffee is roasting. Because I think for us to be a good roaster, we need to be a great cupper. This person that cups coffee. And so we need to know that very well so we can buy coffee well, because in my opinion, 70% of the quality of the cup is the raw material is coffee itself, is the green coffee quality. The rest is for us, I mean, we're supposed to not to damage what the producer did. And so I started working with roasting and studying and equipment. I love equipment. And I fell in love with roasting because first to roast well, besides cupping well, we need to know the culture, consumption culture around where the coffee is going and the equipment where it's going to be brewed, and all these decisions. They're so complex and there are so many to be taken for you to roast well that I fell even more in love with roasting than before. I mean, with coffee itself. And then I felt the need to study and develop a methodology myself. And then I bought my roaster. I studied with Tim Wendable, with Peter Dupont, and so many others, I mean, before them. But that was when I decided to buy the roaster and to actually be Coffee Lab as it is today. And especially to find some producers that are amazing, that have amazing coffee, but didn't know that, or didn't know how to sell their coffee better, or didn't even know they have great coffee. That was one of my main goals. Was to find these hidden, so to say, coffees, even for the producer themselves. And that's what we've been doing. It's been rewarding to work with producers and seeing such an Paulo Coffee Festival full of people, full of consumers, makes me so happy, especially because the more people consume and drink good coffee, and especially coffee, the more the producers will really get well paid for the bags, which is not common in Brazil, I guess. So yeah, then Coffee Lab became a coffee shop just because we used to welcome people in our roastery, doing some tasting and tasting rituals, as we call them. And they were so interesting that in 4 months, the nominated us for the best cafe prize, whatever. And we weren't even a coffee shop. But because of these tasting rituals, we, through the eyes of the consumer, we became a coffee shop. And then I just let that in and became Coffee Lab coffee shop as well. But we're sort of different because we don't have a counter or a bar. We're sort of a lab, but it looks like a house, and it's cozy, but it's very procedimental. No, how do you say that? It's very methodological, and we wear overalls and we talk to the consumer very closely, and they walk through our operation and our kitchen, and it's all integrated. So that's what Coffee Lab is. It's our lab, school, weird coffee shop.
Yeah, it's definitely unique. I mean, I must say, when I visited for the first time, I had these amazing expectations, and I walked in and it was sort of a real genuine element of surprise, especially that you didn't quite know whether you were walking within the back space or the front space. And you kind of had to walk through technically a part of what could have been perceived as the kitchen into another seating area, which was beautifully placed outside in the street. And it was that sense of, I'm actually part of this. So that kind of co-creation, it was a very special experience. That's how you wanted it, or it's just an accident that happened?
I wanted people to be in our lab. That's what I wanted. And I guess our lab, okay, it looks like a house, but it's still our lab. And I wanted people to be around us while preparing coffee and That I wanted that to be the way it is. And especially because since it's a new product, especially compared to what people are used to drinking in Brazil, our staple coffee is so bad. Bad. I mean, people, no, you don't know bad. and since it's so different, especially coffee is really, really different from what people are used to drinking. I needed to get them out of comparing our coffee shop to other places they had been. So that is a sensorial experience. I mean, if they get into a place that doesn't look like a coffee shop, they won't be trying to grab and actually not only compare but grab. You need to you stick to what you know, right? It's familiar, it's comfortable. So when people get into Coffee Lab, it's almost impossible to stick to what you know, to your repertoire. And so that helps us introducing a new product. Because flavor-wise, it's a completely new product, but the name is the same, which makes it even harder.
Wow, very profound. You're a unique human being. So 23 years in coffee. Are there any plans immediately in terms of what you'd like to achieve in coffee going forward now?
Well, there are some plans and dreams. I never thought that I would say that. And for years and years, I said that I would never expand my stores because we are only one. But you need to be suspicious when you're too strong on never. That hides something, according to Freud. So be aware. If you're too strong on never, there's something there. So now that the never is not as strong anymore, I'm probably going on expanding some stores especially because I'll be able to buy more coffee from other producers. And since we pay a great price straight to the producer, I mean, from my bank account to theirs. And that's, for me, very exciting. And so being able to buy more coffees and expand, make more people buy and drink specialty coffee, especially to have more producers in our group, that was what makes me want to expand and grow. And also the school and online classes, because there's no limit for online. And that's so exciting for me. I love teaching.
Yeah, no limits on online.
The world has become smaller. I mean, when I was born, telephone lines were really expensive. There was no fax machine invented. I'm from 1974. I'm exactly from the same year when Edna Knudsen said specialty coffee and the art. So maybe specialty coffee and I were born in the same year.
Wonderful. Now, back to that point about the producers. You're obviously very, very passionate about giving back to the people that made your coffee. How do you go about selecting a producer when in Brazil there must be literally thousands upon thousands of coffee farmers?
It's about 300,000, about that, so around that.
Out of all those people that would be wanting to sell coffee to you, how do you decide?
It's about the coffee itself, of course, but it's about relationship. We need to get along. I mean, there's something in when the eyes cross. It's a relationship. I think companies, they need to be seen as beings relating. I mean, the company is a being relating to the consumer or to their customers. And that's how I see suppliers and companies as well. So the relationship needs to be healthy and trustworthy and good. And of course, the relationship of the producer with the environment has to be respectful as well. So that's all that I take into account. There are some coffees that I really liked in my life, and I didn't like the producer, the person. Not because the person was bad, but I just didn't get along and I didn't trust.
Yep.
So I didn't buy the coffee because I want the relationships to be long. I don't want to be to change producers every year or suppliers. I want it to be long. I like long relationships. My family is so gypsy. I've lived in 49 addresses in my life already. So
wow, so you counted that many.
When it's too many, you count.
Incredible. Everything you seem to be doing seems to be anti-business in a sense. It's about educating. It's about looking after farmers. It's about absolutely precision and creating the best coffee and the best taste, which for me seems completely unbusinesslike and completely uneconomical. So how do you make a business out of all this?
Well, I would have to disagree so much with you because our numbers they say otherwise.
Right.
We have great numbers, actually, even paying the producers so much more and wages as well, because the wage costs in Brazil are outrageously high for the employer, which actually gives them less money because we have to pay so many taxes here, not only labor, but so many others. But it's possible. It's possible to pay well suppliers and staff and make good money. I mean, good money. We're 20% net.
Right.
Last line. For this kind of business is a lot. I mean, the coffee shop.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that requires discipline. I mean, a little bit of courage of doing whatever, what people haven't. Because people tend to do what they think the customer expect them to do. I don't know what the customer wants. That's the worst way of doing business because the customer actually doesn't know what they want, especially when it comes to specialty coffee, such a new product in the world. We need to tell them and to show them fun and nice and comfortable ways to taste that product. So we are the ones who know, and we can invite them into our world with a smile, with a nice conversation, because specialty coffee is not my business. My business is the subject of my conversation with the people that buy us. And product is not concept. So our concept is something more and bigger than the product itself. No customer in the world buys products. They buy brands. We buy brands. We buy relationships. We don't buy products. So I love branding and I love this business world. I never expected I would because I always said that I would never, again, another never in my life. I will never be a business person. I will be a psychologist, blah, blah, blah. But then I became a business person. And in the beginning, it was so hurtful for my soul because in my mind, being a business person would be exploiting people. And I found a way to be a business person, make my money and respect others but in the limit that capitalism allows us to do. So, and so I like business. But you need to be disciplined. You need to respect your cents because the cents are the ones that actually make you rich or take you bankrupt because you don't see them leaking. You see big leakages, you see big losses, and you react to them very fast, or sometimes not, but usually. But when the small cents and the small money is leaking, you don't see that. So if you're not really careful, you don't make money. And especially in coffee shops. I love retail, food and beverage retail. I really do love nowadays, and I consult for a lot of people in this. We need to be very smart with our cents and how we organize our procedures so we can actually be careful with this, with all the cents and we can't lose anything that is excessive. We have to be smart on pricing, which I don't think especially coffee has been so much because we have a narrative of being special, of being traceable, and the farmer and the family and the taste and the floral notes and the nose and the mouth and blah, blah, blah. We have a rich and sophisticated narrative, and we charge just $1 over Starbucks, for example, or other whatever wave coffee shops around. So that's not smart. That's giving the consumer a double message. That's not good. So we need to be more smarter on charging and not be afraid, because people, again, there's a limit of buying things. Of course it is. But we deal with a product, in my opinion, that it's so affordable to so many people yet, that if we don't charge as well as we tell the story, people will be suspicious about our story. So the margins can be better. And people are so afraid of the customer. The customer is you as well. So if we just remember that we're people relating. We're people relating. The consumer is a person relating to you. That is a person that has the company. We make smarter decisions, and we need to be very disciplined, I guess. Coffee requires discipline and precision. Money, the same. And the creativity and the way you're gonna talk and express your standpoints or your product, that's when you need to be more creative and actually express yourself more. The coffee shops around the world, they're so similar. The menus are similar, and we're just so young, I mean, as an industry, and the coffee shops already seem so similar. Why? That bothers me a little.
So you really are the Steve Jobs of the coffee industry in a way. You know, that dare to be different. You can make very nice margins if you deliver an absolute incredible product that has authenticity. What is it in your mind, the secret to the success of your brand?
Well, having a really good designer, branding, specialized in branding, it helps a lot. It's like a therapist for your life. It's the designer for your company, because you are not able to come up with a strong branding yourself, in my opinion, even if you're a designer. For your own company, you need help from people that is not in, and you need to, if you're opening a company that is small, for example, a coffee shop, I tell my clients, my consulting clients, that if it's a small company like a coffee shop, you need to express yourself a lot through the business in the beginning, because that would be really legitimate and singular, because you're singular. That person has a story that it's their own. So that's so singular that if you don't express that in your business, that's stupid, in my opinion.
So by singular, you mean unique?
You are unique. Your story is unique. And then why not use that as the raw material for the beginning of the construction of your brand? Because in the beginning, Coffee Lab and we were very alike. Now we're so different. And we really we even have arguments, me and Coffee Lab. And good conversations, because we're different now. But Coffee Lab is 18 years old. I mean, it's an adult now. It knows what it wants and where it wants me to take it. But in the beginning, we were very more close, like a child. So you need to have a good designer. You need to express yourself. You need to tell a story, because really, it's all about telling stories. It's always been Coca-Cola when it began. Come on, somebody had to tell that story. Now we don't need anymore, but somebody had to tell the world what that dark liquid was. Weird tasting. So we have to tell stories, and our story is unique. So why not use it as material for your brand construction? And of course, I mean, the visual identity of that expression is the last thing you have to think. And people usually begin through the symbol, the design, the typography, the font, whatever. And no, it's the last thing. You have to know your personality, your values. That's not bullshit. That's real. That's your main material to work. And then if that doesn't become your entrepreneur manual, you're failing. Because any decision that you make in your company, you have to consult your own manual. Okay, does it go with my company or not? Does it go with these values? No, but it gives you a lot of money. No. But it will kill you later if you go against your values. So you have always to decide upon financial, of course, and concept and strategy and branding. And never forget it. If you have a business, it's about people. It's about managing people. So you have to like managing people. You have to. You can't run away from that because it's really about people.
Visual identity of your brand, in terms of first look, a little fox. And for me, it feels quite friendly. And as a sort of a first visual, can you tell me why you chose that visual as the icon of your brand?
First of all, I didn't. The designers did. I just, since I trust them, I always tell them, look, I won't tell you anything. The brief is you're free to do whatever you feel like because I trust you. So my last name means fox in Portuguese. That's why. And they came up with that, not me. I wouldn't actually, probably not have that idea. Because in the beginning, it was a cup with a foxtail. And then the rebranding 18 years later, the designer decided to keep the fox and get her out of the cup. And now it's sassy and charming and artsy.
Fantastic. Now, you also mentioned a really important part of business is actually managing people, and you have to like that. How have you learned to become a leader? Was it a journey that you were on, or was it instinctively from the beginning?
I wish. No, it's not about a period. It's all along. I mean, it was the second most hurtful thing in my life was managing people, because I probably make all mistakes possible. I just didn't hit people, and I wouldn't. But I made all mistakes, and it's hurtful because managing people and being a psychologist and going to therapies, having to look to yourself so deeply that it hurts. So being a good leader, it's really hard and it hurts. It's relating to people, so people will poke your things. And then if you're not well aware of that, you're going to react to that poking and that's not good. When you're managing people, you don't react. You get to know yourself, and then you don't react, and then you calm down, and then you see what really matters after calming down, and then you talk to people. I mean, the tone of your voice, that for me, I realized it was one of the most important tools. Because I thought it was my intentions. No. Okay, your intentions, they will only be perceived as good if your tone of voice, if you're really gentle to people, like you like people to be with you. So it doesn't matter if you have good intentions if you don't express that in a good way. I learned that a lot throughout the years, and that's been really good for me. Not only for my team and the organizational climate, that what we would say in Portuguese, but I don't know in
culture.
Yeah, the culture. Yeah, the atmosphere has to be as soft as it can be. Because come on, we're not family. We're working together. I'm putting a lot of people together for 8 hours every day, 5 days a week, and they never chose to be together. If it's not soft and the environment is not nice, then you have burnout. Then you have sabotaging procedures. You have a lot of bad things. What I do, 80% of my day is managing people. That's for sure 80% of my day. So the things can be done in the way that is nice. And of course, letting people know that their opinion is are important, even though sometimes we're not going to be able to implement them. But
sounds like you've learned a lot over the years, though.
We're still learning. I mean, the more you learn, the more you have to learn. I mean, the more you still have to learn, because it's a geometric progression, right? Learning.
Speaking of learning, what did you learn from COVID and the pandemic?
Nothing is granted. I mean, when you think that your business is secure and safe and stable, you're not safe. Every day taking a risk that I can't control 100%. The things I can control, I am trying to, but there are things that you don't control. So it was a really humbling experience. Do whatever you can, do your best, but no, that's not maybe. That's not enough. And that's actually freeing a little bit.
And is there anything you do in your business differently today because of COVID?
I definitely pay attention more to virtual meets, of course. So now our online store is getting bigger. Our delivery, we never had delivery because I don't like garbage. So I don't sell water. I don't sell plastic bottles. I give water away. In Brazil, that's not common. So I don't, because of garbage. So we had that was a huge issue for us. And then, so we never had takeout or takeaway because of that. But now we do. That hurts me a little. But anyway, the more people can drink specialty coffee, the more the producers will be paid well. So that makes me compromise. And then it's okay because that's how I adjust by myself.
I was completely just blown away by the lines at the São Paulo Coffee Festival. Not only out the door, but even more impressive was the lineup of people waiting to meet you.
Oh.
And the photos and the shaking of hands. And clearly you are, a true celebrity in the world of Brazilian specialty coffee. And there are a lot of people that wanted to just meet you for the first time, have their photo taken with you. Why are they doing that? What is it that's special about what you've created?
Well, I'm biased, but I think what I created is special. I was also overwhelmed and impressed and surprised by that line. Really, I didn't expect that, really. So it was overwhelming for me as well. I'm still maybe digesting that because I didn't expect people in line for just say hi and tell me that I changed their lives and their career and the way they drink coffee, and they just wanted to say hi and give me a hug. Some people wanted to take pictures, but the most amazing things was most of the people had never been to Coffee Lab personally, but they follow us in Instagram. And I don't know what to say. And maybe I'm very technical at what I do with coffee, but I also think, just maybe because I'm a psychologist, I know how to translate that to non-geek people. I really dedicate. I mean, I put a lot of effort into our social media. It's also discipline. I mean, you have to. I mean, that's a job. You need to post. You need to talk to people. You need to respond. You need to like what they do. You need to interact, and that's hours of your day. So you need to do that, or somebody for you. But yeah, in my opinion, nowadays social media should be a lot into the owners or the CEO's hands. I'm not afraid of doing things the way I feel. That's one thing. Maybe that helps. I don't know.
Thank you so much, Isabela, for joining us here today on 5th Wave.
Thank you so much for the invite. It was such a pleasure.
And that's all this week for the 5th Wave podcast. Please subscribe to the 5th Wave wherever you get your podcasts. And if you've enjoyed this show, please recommend us to a friend or colleague. And if you want to stay informed, visit worldcoffeeportal.com to get access to the latest global coffee news, including the weekly coffee dose, our weekly newsletter collecting all the big coffee news stories of the week. Link is in the show notes. This episode was produced in the one and only Serendipity Studios in glorious Camden, North London. It was produced by myself, Jeffrey Young, Hannah Heath, James Harper of Filter Productions, and sound engineering by Chris Brister. And this week's song, in collaboration with the Coffee Music Project, is actually a song from Isabela's sister, Isadora Canto, and the song is Curandeiras. And until next time, stay safe, stay passionate, and stay caffeinated.
das plantas.